And after a few technical horrors just a few moments ago, we now have Major General Samir Abahara on the phone from Jenin. Thank you very much for joining us here. I'd like to ask you when you think the second phase of the Gaza agreement could begin.
Good evening to you and to everyone who's watching. The Sharm el-Sheikh agreement, according to the Sharm el-Sheikh agreement, second phase was supposed to start in a week, but we have seen lots of obstacles that have stalled this, and even the White House said that that they are concerned that maybe the agreement will face some challenges to be implemented. They were worried about Hamas refusing to give up their arms, and then also the war hasn't stopped. In Gaza, we've seen violations from the Israeli side, lots of violations, and then they're talking about the peacekeeping forces, forming them. What duties will these forces have? What are their duties, the rights, and so on? And so, according to all this, we had some kind of a gap in the implementation process, and then we needed some new mechanism to start the second phase. And as it appears here, according to the USA has proposed their project to the Security Council so that they start forming destabilization forces, and so did Russia. And but yeah, there are some disputes between the USA and Russia over these over the fine print and these details. Russia wants to grant the Palestinians their right to self-determination, and they want to see what these forces can do and what their duties are, what can they decide. And then the USA also has added to their project the right to self-determination for the Palestinians, and this actually caused some kind of disputes in Israel, saying that this is the start of having a Palestinian statehood, and of course this will have its consequences on the forces matter and what are their role. Israel is asking the forces to disarm Hamas, and tomorrow they will have a vote on this. But I think that if the USA and Russia aren't on the same page, then things won't be going so smoothly. And if the USA and Russia want to keep implementing the agreement, then they need to be on the same page, or things will go south. We cannot have the two sides conflicting, and the region will stay under the effect of the war, and the agreement will be stalled further, and will also maybe will wait for weeks or even months to implement phase two. And so this doesn't benefit any side or anyone in the region. As I said, things need to end. We need an actual ceasefire. Israel needs to withdraw, and then we need to start reconstruction and start healing for Gaza, and to have the Palestinians go back to their homes safely.
And what's your view on Netanyahu's consistent refusal to establish a Palestinian state?
Yeah, Netanyahu now he has refused a Palestinian statehood, and he is refusing it. He's absolutely refusing it. As we know, the far right ministers, Ben Gvir and Smotrich, said that they will not be officials in a country that accepts a Palestinian statehood. And then, yeah, even Netanyahu, as we see, he doesn't want a Palestinian statehood, and so he asked the USA to remove the point of a right to self-determination from the project that the USA will be giving to the Security Council. But and this gave Netanyahu space to do whatever he wants. This gave him freedom, and if we remove this point, then we need the Palestinians and the Israelis to go back to the negotiation stable. But here actually um, having negotiations between Palestine and Israel will be pointless, because Palestine has been asking Israel for more than 20 years to stop this and to have a Palestinian statehood, and Israel hasn't really responded. And yeah, we've seen the countries that have recognized a Palestinian statehood. We saw the United Kingdom and Russia, for example, signing and agreeing to an affidavit to establish a Palestinian statehood, and this was negotiated, but then Israel refused recognizing a Palestinian statehood. And so this is the scenario right now, and it will happen again if there are negotiations between Palestine and Israel. Things will stay just as is, as they were before. The same situation that was there 20 years ago. We can't wait. We need some ruling about establishing a Palestinian statehood from the Security Council and from the United Nations, and this leads us to something else. And yeah, the USA, President Trump has said lots of times that he wants stability and peace in the Middle East, and we need to look into the reasons. There is a war in Gaza and a war in the region, like in Yemen, Lebanon, Syria, Iran. And what are the reasons that led to these wars? The reason is very clear here, and the right of Palestinians and having a Palestinian statehood will be crucial to do this, and it will be crucial for stability in the region. We need a two-state solution, and after this I think that we will have peace and stability in the region, especially that Israel needs the Middle East actually. But yeah, they cannot have any relationships with any of the Middle East countries unless we have a two-state solution and we establish a Palestinian statehood. And actually, what they're doing will lead to the destruction of Israel, and then this leads us to another thing. Um, uh, Israel is having settlements now in the West Bank. Things are escalating fast, and things could go even worse in the West Bank, because the settlers have the green light now from Smotrich and Ben Gvir, and they are violating the agreement. They are attacking the civilians, destroying buildings and facilities, and so this could lead to further escalated tensions. And then also the military leadership in Israel, Netanyahu has said that he will be taking over the West Bank and that things will get worse, and maybe we will have another demonstration in the West Bank because of all the military operations there, like what happened in the Gaza Strip. And we've seen this actually happen before, and then we had the Madrid meeting and the peace agreement. And so going back to war, it doesn't benefit anyone. We don't need wars, we need negotiations and recognizing a Palestinian statehood, and this may lead to stability in the Middle East. Otherwise, I don't think that any negotiations will get us nowhere.
Now, you mentioned President Trump there in your response. Do you think a major disagreement could arise between Netanyahu and Trump because of Netanyahu's rejection of all U.S. plans regarding Gaza's administration?
As it seems, there is some kind of disputes between Netanyahu and President Trump, but as it seems that the USA is trying to give Netanyahu some what he wants, and but from the Saudi Arabia side, and with Prince Salman's visit to the USA in the upcoming days, we will see. We can't have any agreements unless they normalize the relations, but this actually has to do with this has to do with the USA's strategic relationships with Saudi Arabia, and actually Saudi Arabia won't be moving forward with this unless Israel stops, because they really care about the Palestinian cause, and they really care about the Sharm el-Sheikh agreement and to establish a Palestinian statehood, or at least to have USA's word to establish a Palestinian statehood, and otherwise things will stay unstable in the region.